Hi, I'm Erin McGrane and I work on the commercial brokerage side of Clemons Real Estate. Before joining Clemons, I worked primarily, exclusively in one portfolio that was owned by a local developer and landlord. And so when COVID hit, we were able to work together to, it's an overused word, but it really is true, pivot very quickly to both help our tenants that were existing tenants survive the pandemic, and then also we were able to remarkably sign 35 new leases between March and January of 2020. So for the existing tenants, we wanted to make sure that they stayed healthy, and of course at the beginning of the pandemic we had no idea how long it was going to last. So as time went on, the landlord was able to offer them a deferment of the rent, and that was a big help. We had multiple restaurants in the portfolio, and those were of course the hardest hit. We also had 2 event centers, and they were also very hard hit. So that direct ability for him to allow them to defer rent for several months was critical to their survival. And then for the new tenants that we had been in process with, that were suddenly feeling like, I don't know if I want to make this decision and I'm not sure this is the right time. So we were able to address some of their fears and worries, which were preventing them from making a decision. Basically, we offered to let them grow within our portfolio. If they wanted to start with a smaller space, then we said, if you want to grow within our portfolio, we'll do that, no problem. We'll be flexible with the lease. We also added some language, some COVID language that allowed rent deferment toward the end of the lease. And then the other thing is that we got creative with our spaces. So people were coming to us and saying, I don't want to be in an open space now. I want to have my own space. So we took several of our larger suites and divided them up into single offices. So each office had its own locked door and a shared waiting room that they were able to control who was coming in and out and at what time. And that made a big difference to a lot of our tenants. We also wanted to make sure that our tenants that were currently with us didn't leave because of panic and worry over safety. So we installed sanitation systems. We also upped our cleaning, and then ultimately the landlord made the decision to put in extra air filtration systems, and that meant a lot. It just showed the tenants that we were taking it seriously, and they needed to know that. And we wanted to be safe as well. And also we were in the midst of massive construction. So during all this time, we also had construction zones. So we were very serious about all of our construction people wearing masks at all times. And we just upheld that really seriously, and the tenants appreciated it. Some of the things that are going to hold over from the pandemic is this idea of individual spaces as opposed to an open desk or open workspace. I think people still like that ability to control who's coming in and out of their space, and I think that's going to last for a while. I think people are still going to be pretty cautious about that. So we're seeing those individual suites, individual private offices with locked doors and controlled entry are still what people are wanting. And then conversely, we also have had some people say, I want a much bigger space now because we want to spread out. So it's not as though the business has dropped off during COVID, at least for that developer and within that portfolio. It's just changed. And I think the secret or the key to being successful in that is being able to be nimble and change with the needs of the tenant.